The next lift is the back squat. With the back squat, the lifter is actually going to put the bar on the back, not up on the neck. Bar placement is going to be a big key here. We don't want it to be up on the neck. We want it to be right on the back of our shoulders here, on our traps. That way, protecting from the spine. So once the lifter walks in, they duck under, they put their hands on, make sure that they're just outside their shoulder width. They duck under. They find the spot that is good for them. It's right on the traps here, not up on the neck. They make sure that their core is tight, the bar is tight on their body before they even begin to stand up. The lifter, his knees are bent, his hips are down. Once he's in good position and he's ready, he'll stand up with the bar. He'll take one step back, making sure that he's still in the catches. Focus on keeping his chest up. Eyes still on a neutral plane. He's going to squat down to a depth where his thighs would be parallel to the ground, and then he'll stand right back up. Feet should still be shoulder width apart, maybe angled out a little bit, very similar to the front squat. He squats down, stands back up, focusing on keeping the chest up. We don't want the chest to dip, because then the weight will pull the lifter down to the rack. One more. So he squats down to depth, comes back up. It's always safe to have a spotter. If we had a spotter, the spotter would stand right behind them. And as they go down, if they're struggling to come up, the lifter is going to reach around to the front of their pecs, and they're going to help lift the weight with them. So one more. Squat down, reach all the way around. And they're going to help safely lift them up and then guide them back into the racks. Also in the squat, as the lifter is going down, they want to ensure that their heels are staying on the ground. Their hips should come back, forcing their heels to stay down all the time. Weight on the insteps of their feet. So his hips come back, he hits parallel back up. Instead of wrestling with the lifter without a spotter, if he goes down, can't get the weight back up, can't return it safely, he just continues to go down. The bar rests, and the lifter can safely get out of the rack. Okay, our next lift is going to be the military press. The military press working the upper body, the shoulders. The bar is going to be up at about just below shoulder height. Lifter is going to take a hand placement that's just outside of the shoulders. They're going to make sure they take a full grip on it. Once they have a full grip, they're going to dip underneath of the bar to get it up off the rack. They take a space out, hands are outside the shoulder. With the military press, he's just going to press shoulders straight up, pressing the bar straight up, ensuring that he sticks his head through. We call it sticking your head through the window. So that bar should finish right above his ears or right behind the head of the lifter. Keeping back flat, there's no bending of the knees. Chest is up, not looking down, looking straight forward. One more, presses up, and so safely returns it back down to his chest. The next lift we'll be doing is the power clean. The power clean is part of the clean family. With the power clean, we're going to be taking the bar from the floor. So we're going to use the bumper plates for less noise, basically, when we do this. When the lifter approaches the bar, though, they're going to want to make sure their feet are right underneath their hips. Let's go ahead and walk up to it. So his feet are under his hips. He's going to reach down, grab the bar with a full grip, with his hands just outside of his shins. Both elbows, his knees should be inside the elbows. When the lifter, they're going to squat down, flat back. We're focusing on a flat back. His chest is up, his butt's down. Both feet heels are on the ground. They're going to roll that bar in close to their shins. Well, once they get there, it's broken down into 3 different pulls, 3 different phases. The first phase, we'll just go through the phase here, is just a deadlift phase. Where the lifter's down, they're going to stand up with the weight, okay, back down. The next phase would be the scoop, where they're actually bringing their hips to the bar and pulling and then shrugging the bar and focus on elbows high. It's just like a high pull. Okay? And the third phase would be the catch, when the lifter is actually going to pull themselves under the bar and catch with their elbows. So once they're under, butt's down, chest is up, making sure their shoulders are the first thing that goes, keeping a good relationship, hips lower than the shoulders. Once they go, they're going to explode up, bring the hips to the bar. Go ahead. When they catch it just like it would be a front squat. His elbows are high, his feet went out to a squat stance, flat back. Lowers it back to the ground, he resets. Make sure his feet come back in from a squat stance and into our power stance. Driving the hips, making sure the hips are coming, catching with the elbows high. Elbows high is a very important part. Otherwise, if the elbows are low, the weight's going to pull the lifter to the ground. So one more. Good one here. So once again, he's down. He's set up. His core is tight. Chest is up. Brings the hips to the bar, catches, and back down. If a lifter would miss a lift or struggle with the weight, we're going to have them dump the weight forward and just back up out of the way. So if they were going up, they miss the lift, they just dump it to the ground and back up so they're safe and don't get hurt. The bench press. With the bench press, some of our key points we want to remember is our feet need to be on the ground with our setup. Our hips and bottom need to stay on the bench. And then our shoulders and our head also need to stay on the bench. When we're benching, we always have a spotter also. A spotter can either stand up on the platforms or down on the floor, whichever more comfortable for them. So once the lifter is laying down, we want to make sure that our hands are equal distance away from the middle of the bar, using different measuring points to make sure that their hands are wide enough so when they get down, the bar gets to their chest, arms are parallel with the floor. The lifter, they're going to want to control the bar down, touch the chest, not bounce on the chest, touch the chest, and return it back to the upright position, trying to make a consistent contact with the chest every single time. But making sure that they are controlling it. Spotters need to make sure that they're paying attention so that if the lifter struggles with the lift, that they are there to help them finish a rep, or in a max out case that they would return the bar safely to the rack. So John, he checks his grip, everything's on the bench. He's going to lift it off. The spotter makes sure he has it. He's going to lower it down to his chest. He pauses or just touches, doesn't have to pause, and returns it back to the upright position. When the lifter has completed the lift, the spotter will grab the bar, help him make sure that it is racked. The next lift we're going to be doing is the front squat, with just a variation of the back squat. We're going to show you a front view here with our hand placement. To begin with the front squat, because it's very important where the bar is resting in order for it to be comfortable and safe for the athlete. So the first thing is we're going to put our hands, just our fingers. We're not necessarily going to take a full grip on the bar. We're just going to use our fingers to get a landmark, even spacing. Once the lifter has their fingers on there, they're going to walk into the bar and get under it. They're not going to pick it up yet. They're going to make sure that they rotate, that their elbows are up, the bottom of their arms are parallel to the floor. If they're in the good proper form there, that bar is going to be back on their shoulders, not sitting on their clavicle. It's going to be back on their shoulders, nice cushioning. Their shoulders are bearing all of that weight. So once the lifter would be under in the place, then they would unrack it and stand up with it. and then they'd be ready to front squat. All right, let's go ahead. He racks it, he unracks it, steps out. Feet are going to be just outside of the shoulders, outside of shoulder width, maybe pointed out a little bit. We don't want to get too wide, or just outside, right outside the shoulders. Very important. He's going to sit down. When we talk about parallel, we talk about the top of our thighs being parallel with the floor. He's going to maintain good core strength, good arch in his back, chest is up, eyes are looking straight ahead into the neutral plane. So as he squats down, focusing on keeping his elbows up, gets down to parallel, stands back up. So he squats down, keeping his back flat, eyes up, making sure elbows are staying up. And once the lifter is done, without a spotter, normally we encourage spotters. We do have the safety bars also, but if we have a spotter, how this will look with a spotter, the spotter is really on the front squat, are just gonna, go ahead, Jesse. They're gonna help control them. If they're struggling on the way up, they're gonna stand right behind the lifter and just provide any assistance they may need. And then when they go to rack it, they're gonna put their hands on the bar, push it into the rack, make sure it is secured so the lifter can come out. If a lifter has too much weight on when they may be maxing out or in the set, later in the set, and where their legs are failing, they can't come up with it, the safety bars to go safely down. If he's struggling to come up, to go safely, if he goes down, he just lets the bar drop onto the safety catches. That's why the safety catches are always in when we do this lift, to make sure that the lifter doesn't take the weight all the way to the ground. Also in the squat, as the lifter is going down, they want to ensure that their heels are staying on the ground. Their hips should come back, forcing their heels to stay down all the time. Weight on the insteps of their feet. So his hips come back, he hits parallel back up. Instead of wrestling with the lifter without a spotter, if he goes down, can't get the weight back up, can't return it safely, he just continues to go down. The bar rests, and the lifter can safely get out of the rack.